I'm a big believer that you get incredible value from such stories. These success stories teach how to market your products, how to surpass your competition, and much more. So, without wasting any other time, let's begin. It was the beginning of the 19th century. This guy, named Robert McCormick, whose job was to deal slaves, decided he has had enough. Robert was a brilliant polymath person. He had no formal schooling, but he was a gifted mechanical mind. At the time, about 70% of the American population spent all day tilling the soil. So, he decided to make something. He started coming up with weird designs of tools or machines that could be used. He experimented with a variety of mechanical devices to make farming easier and less tiring for the laborers. He made various brilliant inventions, but the one that stood out was the Reaper. It was a horse-drawn device for reaping wheat. Why was it such a big invention? Well, back then, 6 people were needed to harvest 2 acres of wheat, so about 8,000 square meters in an entire day. McCormick's Reaper could bring in 10 acres in that time with 2 people. The need was clear, and the product fulfilled the need amazingly. Now, Robert had made a brilliant invention that every farmer would crave. Although he had a very inventive mind, his talents did not extend to financial matters. And that's where Cyrus comes in. Cyrus is the eldest of his 8 children. He was in his early 20s at the time, and he had a very important role in his dad's invention. He supplemented his father's technical genius with an interest in making money. As the eldest son, Cyrus stood to inherit the bulk of his dad's net worth. Deeded the Reaper to him, and with it, future ownership of the tool and technology behind it. His challenge was to find a way to bring that product to its market in an era that lacked any form of mass medium through which to reach potential customers. Dramatic public demonstrations were the only truly convincing marketing technique you could use, and so he did. In the next few months, he did his best to make his Reaper known. He went to rich people's farms and showcased it there, which was a big success. But he didn't rush to make his product widely available. Why? He realized his mistake on time. Many farmers, having seen the demonstrations or read articles about machines being developed in England and in the United States, were building their own reaping devices. Some people started selling Reapers on their own. In fact, the Ohio-based inventor Obed Hussey demonstrated and patented his own Reaper in 1833. After Cyrus learned about this, he got a patent for the Reaper that his father built. A patent is like copyright for a new invention. It's basically a government allowing you to sell a new product, but not no one else. Truth to be told, no one could claim to invent the first Reaper. Robert was just one of the people to build it. Even Cyrus Jr., Robert's grandson, later stated that, as for the Reaper, it might as well be the word constructed instead of invented used. Now that Cyrus recognized his mistake, he had to figure out a way to patch it. He started by writing to the writer of a famous at the time magazine, warning all people against buying from other sellers because he had claimed all rights for the Reaper. He wrote similar letters to writers of as many small or large newsletters. Begging writers to support him, though, was not an efficient way to spread the word. He reckoned his best move was to keep marketing his dad's Reaper and showcasing it to as many farmers as possible. This was especially difficult because the Reaper hadn't gone into production yet, so his inventory was very limited. He didn't want to open shop until he was sure the Reapers would get sold. After showcasing his product for the next few years, he gathered testimonials and used them as ad space instead of ad copy. In 1840, when people still harvested wheat by hand, he sold 2 homemade Reapers for $110 each. Note that $100 then is valued at about $3,500 today. Both Reapers broke down, which led to Cyrus improving his design and quality. In 1841, he sold 7 Reapers. Now there was one big problem: competition. Remember Obed Hussey, who managed to copy his design before he got the patent? Turns out they managed to grow into a pretty successful business. So, how did Cyrus manage to beat the competition? He gave attention to detail and quality. That move proved to be the right one in 1843. The two rivals decided to face each other in public. Everyone watched as the McCormick Reaper harvested 72 acres of wheat when the competitor Reaper just 2. By the end of next year's harvest, Cyrus had sold 50 Reapers for $100 each. The sales grew, but because a buyer had to watch the Reaper demonstrate before buying, their marketing was limited locally. Another problem was that transporting the machines was expensive. So, Cyrus thought of something brilliant. He put ads for business owners to form partnerships. The business owner would receive a permit to make and sell the Reaper and would get a commission out of every sale. The plan worked, and the sales grew, but not for long. Farmers were hesitant to buy because of its expensive price. So, Cyrus, in his speeches, appealed on economic grounds, claiming that the Reaper would pay for itself through saved labor. Now people were convinced to buy. So, orders started flowing in from all over America. There were so many that they couldn't keep up with them. Cyrus made a bold move, which turned out pivotal for their success. He relocated the headquarters and moved closer to the new customers in the West. Later on, when his father, Robert, died, it made him move again to Chicago, a then small town which later grew a lot, bringing even more profits to Cyrus. By the end of the harvest in 1849, the 123 workers managed to produce and sell 1,500 Reapers. He engineered a big expansion to the factory, reaching the Chicago River. By the end of it, the factory covered 75,000 square feet. The connection with the river allowed workers to build and load complete machines onto boats, ready for shipment. Cyrus was now close to the end of his empire, his dad's mission to revolutionize farming. With his new and expanded factory, he managed to build above 4,000 Reapers a year. He gradually lowered the manufacturing cost per machine and managed to be able to sell the Reaper for less than $50. Now most of the farmers in America were able to purchase the Reaper. By 1860, America's 70% of wheat fields were harvested using the Reaper. After the Civil War, he expanded in Europe too. He completed the mission his father had started and became a millionaire in the process. Now, there are a lot of things we can learn and apply to business nowadays. Sometimes the best defense is attack. Cyrus' way to defend himself against businesses who stole his machine was attack. He made his product known and better than everyone else's. 2. If you don't know how to write copy, testimonials will take you a long way. Cyrus knew about business, but not much about advertising. Instead of writing an ad that wouldn't make a big impact on his company, or hiring an expensive writer to do it, he posted only the testimonials on newsletters. 3. Always learn from your mistakes. Even if it's a big mistake that will probably bankrupt your business, learn from the mistake and try to choose your next move carefully. Cyrus was able to recognize his mistake before it was too late. He rushed to make his machine known and people stole his idea. He chose his next step cleverly and beat everyone's machines. 4. A great way to overcome competition is to focus on the details and product quality. Do what other businesses fail to do.